meeting is being live streamed. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, welcome to Black Lions Domain, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zachary Shiloh, or Zachary Shiloh, depending on the props. This is the interview segment for the General Flow-tastic Zone, better known as Black Lions Airspace, which is heading into its general fourth season this coming June. Oh, God. All right, kids. I don't know where I am being streamed right now. God willing, I am definitely on Twitter and YouTube. Facebook, please have my, if you possibly are recording, please have my stuff on there. Thank you very much. But if not, I still love you humbly and gratefully. Today's guest, what can I say? She is maybe the eldest person in the Magic series overall, by my dear friend Blair Hayes. Hi, Blairkins, if you're watching and listening to this one. Speaking of the almighty Blairkins, before we continue, I actually am in a new book, kids. Cliff notes. I'm not getting into heavy details. I'll go into heavy details maybe in a different episode. So I was a part of this book called Igniting the Passion. I wasn't seeing eye to eye with a certain Australian who looks like a mobster by the name of David Vine. Because of creative differences, the Black Lions Roar 5, do not expect it in that book. But please still support that book. Why? Because I can reveal this person's name now. All right, the mystery forward writer, congratulations are in order to one Blair Hayes. So please support Blair and everybody else in that book and help that go #1. Now, as far as my ties to Blair without David Vine, me and her, we are actually doing this book called Be Mine, which is a holiday romance. So that book is slated to start writing next week and be released in February. Blairkins, please correct me if I'm wrong on when the actual release is. Originally, it was supposed to be for Valentine's Day, but because of a confliction with a different book that Zachary Shiloh Watts is in called Rebel Romance, we're having to reschedule. So keep an ear out for when the new date comes. Okay, back to the intro for the mighty one that's blessing me with her presence today. All right, so she is now, or has been, a widow. She is a martial arts master. She's the dog mother. Oh God, and her doggy kids are so cute. Oh God. Good kids out there. Don't you just want to hold that dog and just let it lick you and go like, oh God. I love doggy kids, delicious. Okay, and much, much more. We will be discussing her chapter in our book with our dear friend Blairkins, called Magical Miracles. With that said, welcome to Black Lions Domain, Dr. Marilyn LoPresti. How are you, love?
Very well, thank you. And I'm so pleased to be here today. It's an honor and a pleasure. And I feel blessed that I met so many wonderful people by doing this project. And I want to thank Blair for her support and also for urging me to go forward, as well as Karen Quiros, who recommended me and said, maybe you should do a chapter with us. And I said, oh, I don't know if I can do it. And well, here I am. We published the book and it's a bestseller. What more can you want? Met wonderful people, meeting other wonderful people who wrote to me that they enjoyed the book. They enjoyed my chapter, and they felt it was something that they could identify with in all of the chapters. It touched so many people in so many ways, and I'm proud to be part of that. That's part of my mission in life, actually. And so it gave me another way to do it by writing. And I'm going to do a little talk in one of the local libraries here
Ooh,
two of them, a little author talk, and that'll be a lot of fun. I'm used to talking. I've done a lot of motivational speaking along the way. My career as an educator, and also my afterwards, my retirement, I decided to go another route and actually form my own business in my 70s, which
God bless you.
many people do. And it's just led me in a lot of different ways and opened a lot of doors for me. But in the end, I'm the recipient of all the benefits. And I didn't realize that would happen. So what you give out comes back to you. And that's why I'm so happy about the book that was able to help so many people. I had one student that wrote to me who's undergoing chemotherapy right now. And unfortunately, my sister is now too, so I've been helping her. She said to me that she has to undergo another round of chemotherapy, and she was very down. That very day, she opened my book. She had the download of the initial launch of the book. And came home and read the chapter because she knew me. And she said it gave her a lift. And she said that this was going to give her the incentive to go forward and not to give up. So that's that one thing that happened made it all worthwhile. My estimation, just touching one person made it worthwhile to write it.
Yeah, I know that feeling all too well. I was talking to you earlier before we got on here, and it still boggles my mind that I've been a published author almost a year. Like, I'm just losing my junk every single day that no matter what is going on, even when I was a one time, nobody can take away this symbol that says I'm a best-selling author. Nobody.
Right. Yes.
Not no crazy Australian men. No, I love Australia. Please, my dear Australians, don't hate me. I actually only can't stand one. Can't stand one. That's it. Otherwise than that, I love you wholly. Especially my dear friend Melissa DeVoe, who I used to call what did I say? Oh, Melly Disselbox. Melly Disselbox. I'm sorry, Melly Love. I keep on saying this proudly, but I learned your last name properly. It's DeVoe. It's DeVoe. Like a certain black man from a R&B group called New Edition. DeVoe. DeVoe. It's French. It's French, not English. All right. So that sensation, the best-selling author, it's a powerful tool. And without the likes of Blair Hayes, I keep on saying this out loud, I would have never got my chapter even published because I kept on hearing what the original Black Lions wrote. If I never met Blair, I think it may have never seen the light of it.
Yes.
At the rate I was going. And then I always say I could always hear a knock. And I said, go and finish your chapter. Go and finish that book. And then Blair showed up. The rest of it was history. And I'm still in awe that I'm on the road to 7 times best-selling author.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. I still geek out that I'm getting ready to tie with a dear friend of mine who I had a major crush on. I affectionately call my unforgettable Polish. I say that proud. Now, because of certain gripes that I had, I am not a 6 times best-selling author going out of this year. But that's not my fault because it's bad management, mismanagement. And that book should be out January 16th with Blair at the forefront as forewriter. And I say again out loud, God bless Blair. in trying to help David Vine and the rest of the Igniting the Passion cast get to bestseller authorship. Because if anybody that's been with the Blairkins, not just me and the doctor over here, we all went bestseller. Blair's done it 10 times. Who better than her to lead the charge? I see nobody else. I see nobody else. Maybe one person in that cast. Maybe Cheryl Zhang, who's been like 17 times bestseller.
Wow.
If my memory serves me right. And she's had double the amount of books. That's her bestseller. Like, if I understood her right, she said that she had like 37 books.
Wow.
I said, okay, God bless you. I don't know if I'll ever make that far, but if I do, pat on the back to me. Pat on the back to me. But I'm happy and grateful for the forthcoming 7, the proper 7. And again, David Vine, you should be saying thank you to Blairkins completely. And that's not just with your words. I'm not going to express what you should be doing, old friend. I'll leave it at that. All right, so let's get away from the nonsense and let's celebrate you, my gorgeous 77-year-old Holly. Let's celebrate you. Can you give my listeners your true background? Because I believe that actually is the crux to your chapter in Magical Miracles. I get this book confused with a different one by Blair and the gay couple's friend named Gabby Bernstein. All right, hon, can you please hit your background that leads into Magical Miracles?
Well, as we discussed earlier, before we went live, the chapter in the book is a mere snapshot of what occurred at the time, what I did about it, and where I am today. Mm-hmm. And that was the advice that Blair gave me so that I could find a way to bring it up to date. But you asked about my background. My background has been in public education. Mm-hmm. I started out going to St. John's University in Queens, New York, to study social studies and teach history at the secondary level. But what happened to me was I had just one son at the time. I have a son and daughter, and he was too young for me to leave, I thought, and I didn't want to do that. And so I decided it was preschool, that I would register him for a couple hours a day. Well, I walked in to register and I walked out a teacher, because they were needing teachers desperately at the preschool level. And I had a preschool through secondary education license. But I told them truthfully, I never taught preschool and I don't like arts and crafts. So they said, it doesn't matter, you're hired. So, okay, I said, well, I have to teach it my way then. So this is going back a long time ago. And I did what I do best. And as I taught the children how to write their names, how to write numbers, I taught them a little bit of how to read. I taught them how to get along with one another, which is very, very important. So what happened was, but the other part of that was I also had to drive a bus. I had to pick up the kids in the class. And it's all like a Philistine prophecy, everything I think that I did in my life. Well, anyway, so to make that little long story short, the next year, the parents were lined up to have my class and not the other teachers, because the kids had come home, they knew how to write their names and do what they didn't do. I said, look, I'll do finger painting. I do finger painting, and I can do, when you cut up and make the star,
Yeah.
it's not the star, the snowflake. I knew how to do the snowflake. I said I could teach them to cut with the scissors and do this. Well, anyway, so eventually I directed that nursery school. It was a cooperative school. And from there, I left as my son got a little bit older. He was the only one that really was a problem in the school because we used to go out and feed the ducks in the pond. The parents liked me to do that. I said, I'd rather do some academic work, but for a few minutes, we'll go out and feed the ducks. And I used to say to the kids, stay away from the edge, stay away from the water. Well, my son was the only one, he fell in the water.
Oh,
And had to, it was all funny things like that that happened. But I went on then later to substitute teach in a local district. And I was the type of substitute that districts like. They called me in the morning and they said, do you want to teach biology? I said, yes. And I went. Do you want to teach home economics? Yes, I went. Do you want to teach math? Yes. I did everything. I did elementary school. I got to know the entire district. And I got to know all the teachers. I learned a lot of things. I learned how to teach dehydration synthesis in biology. I learned the interior angles of a polygram. I don't know what it's for, but I know the formula in mathematics because I had some teachers who are still my friends today who coached me every day when I went into the mathematics class. Now, my success there was I was up front with the kids. I loved kids. I love the high school kids. I love all kids. But the high school kids, you have to be honest with them. And I told them, I'm not a mathematics teacher. I'm studying it along with you. If you don't understand something I'm saying, give me the question and I'll find the answer. And tomorrow I'll bring it in. I'll get, so I did that. When I taught home economics was a ball because the teachers in that department would lock everything up. They didn't want anyone to touch the food. They were in the cabinets. And so I said, okay, we're going to make pigs in blankets. Well, the kids love that. I brought in hot dogs and the biscuits. We put them in the oven. We had like a party. So I loved teaching that. So I went from there and eventually became the chairperson of social studies of people that I subbed for. I became their chair. From there, I went to assistant principal. And from there, I went on to another district. I became assistant superintendent. I was a principal, assistant superintendent of schools. And going back to the bus story, in one district where I worked, there was a problem with the director of buses and he had to leave. So the superintendent came to me and said, you're in charge of buses. And I was laughing. I said, now I'm back to buses. Do I have to drive the bus? So she was laughing and she said, no, but I knew nothing about bus routes, but I knew about administration. So the bus drivers were all grumbly when they saw me come in, figuring I know nothing about buses. I know nothing about bus routes or drivers. So I announced to them, we're going to have a conference. And I invited all of them. I got a terrific speaker in. We had an evening with dinner and a speaker, everyone dressed up. That was it. That was the key to success in trying to manage that department. I also put together in the 90s in the school district, internet in the classroom and computers in the classroom starting at kindergarten. Learning, hands-on learning. People from all over the world came to replicate the program. People from Japan, which was at that time, I thought, way ahead of us in computer education. But the Minister of Education from Japan came in and said, we don't have computers in the classroom. And we started, the kids young, but not kindergarten. Well, it transformed education. It was hands-on learning, critical thinking. The teachers became alive. People that wanted to retire didn't want to retire anymore. One teacher changed her entire second grade class into a rainforest. One learning station was computers, another one was science, another one was reading, and the kids decorated the whole room. They did the research on the internet in second grade on what the rainforest looked like. Another teacher was also an engineer. Her kids wore hard hats, and they, in second grade, made circuits where they lit up lighthouses, train station. You wouldn't believe it. And it was all from junk that people brought in, all parts of things or whatever. They all put it together somehow with the help of this teacher, of course. So that was one experience, and very, very proud of that. That was in my administrative bag. And another thing that I did in the district where I retired from was I did an entire program on character education. Character education is very close to my value system, my family value system, what I believe. And we know that the values really formed with the family. Families are very busy, so the school has to do some part of that. And so we did a whole character education program where we taught the teachers. I brought in the martial arts. I had the Grand Master up on the stage. I had Miss America come in.
What?
Miss America came in. She happened to be a teacher that year. Miss America was from Hawaii. And the teacher said, who's gonna listen to Miss America? Well, when Miss America went up on the stage and held up the crown, you could hear a pin drop. The kids were not in school that day. So we did a special program for them. But some of the kids who were in the martial arts program, and I knew the director, and also his wife, who was also a martial artist, black belt. She worked in the district, so we coordinated a program where the kids came on the stage as part of the program of character education for the teachers. And the teachers couldn't believe that the kids that they saw in class, some of them were very quiet. They weren't the class clowns, or they weren't leaders. They weren't the best students, but they were fantastic on the stage. They were there with swords. They were there with music. They were jumping, doing calisthenics, and it really made their day. And they were so thrilled that they got their picture taken with Miss America, which was blown up, and the rest of the school saw it the next day, all the kids. So lots of fun, lots of things in my career. I also did partnerships with universities. We, in the school where I worked, the school district, we had the principal and teachers partner with local universities where the professors came into our school. We showed them how to use computers. This was the beginning of computers altogether. People wanted to learn. And in turn, they went into departments. For instance, if there was a history teacher, he or she would do a lecture on the Constitution or on the Civil War or World War I, whatever their expertise was, and that helped the teachers in the school. So it was all kinds of partnership. I had a partnership with IBM. I used to travel with them and speak about computers and education in Atlanta and Las Vegas, up at their place upstate, the think tank. That was a big thrill to be involved with IBM. So that's it in a nutshell. But throughout all of this, I studied martial arts. I became ill in one of those districts where I brought in for the teachers a mobile mammogram. And I was so busy in my job, I didn't sign up for it. So one of the secretaries came and said, "You brought this in for everybody. Why aren't you on the list here?" I said, "Well, I can't. I have to do this. I have this meeting. I have to go here." Well, they made me do it. And I was the only one that was found to have a problem with the mammogram in the whole district. Everyone that wanted to sign up, and a lot of them did. So they saved my life. The secretary saved my life. So I went through everything that I had to do. I had surgery. I had chemotherapy. And my focus was on the black belt because I'd already started training. And I said, this can't keep me down. I have to go for that black belt. And I did, and I returned. I got the black belt. My sister got the black belt too with me. We're very proud. And as you said before, no one can take that away from me. I'm a second degree.
Right.
You're a published author. I'm a published author. No one, the grandmasters told us that day when we got the belts, no one can take this away from you. And the other thing I learned that I'll pass on to you is that in whatever we do, we're all always just beginners. And I tell my classes that now in Tai Chi. They say it's too hard, you can't do it. Well, they said, you studied for 30 years. I said, I'm just a beginner. This is 5,000 years old, what we're learning. You know, it's a journey. And so that transfers to everything you do in life. That's my belief. That's always been my belief system. And the other part of that is I had to go through multiple surgeries because I had reoccurrences, multiple times, terrible things, staph infections. I had to go through another round of chemotherapy. That wasn't going to stop me. I will always start it again. Then jumping ahead to my husband becoming ill and then passing away. That was probably the biggest blow that I had to endure. So I had to make a choice there. I had to actually make a choice. So the choice was, and I write about the trip to Florida with my little buddy. And I write about that and climbing those steps because I was saying to myself, I can't do anymore. I can't do it. And then I realized that I had to do it. So the stairs made me realize that it was like a symbol almost, that in climbing the stairs was like climbing my way out of despair and grief. And so that's what I did. And I realized that if I was doing this, and I look back on the past that I just briefly described to you, that I could help other people. So I started forming my classes. I started locally, going to libraries and recreation centers and teaching Tai Chi and then teaching low impact aerobics. Well, then I realized I didn't really like their schedules because we would go 3 weeks, then there'd be a break, then there'd be a new registration. I said, I can't teach that way. It has to be more uniform. So I formed my own company, North Fork Bodies in Motion. And that's after the North Fork of Long Island, where I live on the East End. And many of the people that I taught in those library classes and all, they followed me. And I worked in a studio on my own. I rented the studio and had great turnout. So what happened then, as we know, the pandemic. So what I did, with the help of my daughter, is that we set up a Zoom. And as soon as I closed my studio before it was mandated to close. And so I offered in March of 2020 free classes because people were so upset and whatever. I did free classes on Zoom for 3 months, 3 or 4 months. And it was free, whoever wanted to sign up. And then I realized I couldn't afford to keep doing free because I had to pay insurance and so many things. That I really charge just a very nominal fee, and I still do now. And what I do is I teach Tai Chi, Qigong, and I also teach low impact aerobics. We go 5K or better in an hour. At the end of the hour, the students stay that can and want to, and I do strength training with them and a Qigong stretch. So they have a 90-minute class that they're doing. And it's so the whole program during the week, it's a 4-day program, is an all-around fitness, total body fitness that anybody can do. Anybody can do it. As long as they can walk, they can do the aerobics. People who cannot walk, and I have them in my Tai Chi class, they stay seated. I've been to nursing homes with a demo team, which I hope to get back to one day when this pandemic lessens up. We had a demo team. We had the people in the nursing homes clapping, singing. I can't tell you what a thrill that was for me to see the people come to life. The nurses came up to us and said they had never seen the residents act that way. I brought in music. They thought we were like the Rockettes. But we had male Rockettes too, because I have male.
Baby.
So we did I do all the music myself. I'm a very big music fan. So all of the playlists in my aerobics class and strength training, we use music in that also. I compose. So I knew the audience I would have. I'm just somebody that could be in the nursing home when I think about it, So I said, well, I don't want to be there. So that's part of climbing those steps. But I brought in music and I brought my demo team in, volunteers. We did all volunteer work with this, and they came in and they did the steps that we do in class, which are not fancy, but they're in unison. So it looked like the Rockettes, So we did Frank Sinatra, Fly Me to the Moon, or we did Dion. We did Dion and the Belmonts. We did Elvis. They just sang everything. And then some of them that weren't supposed to get up from the wheelchair, which is a big problem, as you know, in the nursing homes. They put people in chairs and they can't get up. Well, they got up anyway, and they're clapping and they were trying to dance. It was a thrill. And the Tai Chi, they loved it. The breathing. So that's where the story is now. I'm still continuing doing this on Zoom. Okay.
I did get an invite from you to do it, but it's sad to say a certain #1 retailer in the world has me in service, and I have to slave away in a warehouse for umpteen hours a day. So I'm gonna have to get in touch with you about when you do it and see how I can schedule.
Okay. It's open. I'm still, I didn't say this before, but I'm still on a chemo drug, probably for the rest of my life as a preventative, because I had so many recurrences of breast cancer. Okay. So that requires me late in the day and evening. I can't do the classes then. I need to be up for it because, doing 5K to 4 miles in an hour and then doing another half hour after that. I'll tell you, we were all pumped up. You should see these people. People started out with me with water bottles. They had never, especially the ladies, they had never done anything with weights. When I was a gym person, to do all the training, the black belt test was a 6-hour test with no breaks. So I told them, get a soup can, get a water bottle, and make sure the cap is tight. Well, one of those ladies, a year later, is now lifting 8 pounds, 8-pound weights.
Oh, wow.
And another person had a double knee replacement, doubled, and left the studio in September, had surgery on both knees, and was back in class January 2nd. And the reason was that she was in shape going into the surgery. This is a lady who's in her 70s. That's an amazing thing. I'm very proud of that. And, but you have to stick with the program. You have to stick with the program. And it's hard when I realize as a fitness instructor to get people to stick with the program. So I try to make it different. I play all kinds of music, as I said, country music. We do Bruno Mars. We do Post Malone circles. We do the cha-cha to that. So we have lots of fun, and I'm trying to make it fun on Zoom, which is not easy to do. So.
Oh God, hon, if I was in your age group or a little bit older, I'd probably be like, shut up and take my money. That is great.
So that's basically where I am. There were other things. There's so many things that I did. And my husband and I didn't have a lot of money, but we still did things. Like I told people, I owned a horse for 15 years and I used to ride the I used to ride, well, now it's PSEG, but back then it was Loco. I used to ride the Loco lines with a friend. And they said, well, that's an expensive sport. I said, not when you're at 5:30 in the morning mucking out stalls and watering the horses, bringing them out and so forth, and then go to work.
Yeah.
You have to find ways to do things. If you want to do it, just like you're doing with the writing, and you want to go solo, do it. You have to just do it. And, you know, it doesn't always work every time, but that's not the point. The point is that you keep at it until you do it. That's all. And that's the story of the black belt. That's what the black belt is, just a white belt that kept going. That's all it is.
I agree. And when I read your chapter, I actually did on actual release day. Blur can testify to this. This is like my third go with her. Every single time that me and her did write together, I always woke up about the same amount of time, and that's like 2 or 3 issues. And then I would read the actual book before the actual Zoom call. And I read it. I said, oh God, this is a great book. From the opening, which I believe is our dear friend Karen.
Yes.
And then every single chapter that happened after. I believe you were like maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah. Yes.
And then as I'm reading it, I said, oh, this truly makes sense. It makes absolute sense, like the actual order of it. Like you, the Care Bear, and Tina, who I believe are all in the same part of New York. You 3 were like in the first 5 chapters. And I said, oh, okay, we got the New York City Blondes. And
yeah, the New York section here.
And then between the 3 of you, there's Magnolia and Danielle Black. I said, okay.
All different stories.
Yeah. I said, okay, there's Magnolia and Danielle Black between the 3 of you. Okay, so that's the more brunette-ish side of the story. And then the last 5 chapters are, let me see, Pallavi, myself, her cousin, Lovena, excuse me, let's rearrange it. Okay, before me, that's Lovena. After me is Pallavi. And then the last 2 chapters, I'm still jazzing out to this day. Oh God, Blarkins, that's all I gotta say to you. Oh God, I'm still in awe. Mayoko Fukino, who you actually got to know via Messenger a little bit better. She's the second to last book. And the mighty Blarkins herself finishes off the General Magic series. I always said it to Blair in private, you should finish off your own books one day. And she said, no. I'm cool with whatever I am. And then things happen by way of nature and the Magic series ends. And I said, yeah, yeah. I even did it on the Zoom call. I said, Blarkins, you finished off the book. I wasn't going to complain if it was Mayoko to finish, because either which way, it makes absolute sense. Blarkins and Mayoko finish off the book with a reunion from the She Is Magic Always book. The previous 3 chapters, which is the Martesian Girls, with me in the middle, that's a reunion of a certain book called Letters of Love, too. Before that, like I said, you, Tina, and the Care Bear, that's the New York City Blondes connection. And then we have Danielle Black and Magnolia to round it off. I said, how can you not actually rock with the Blarkins after doing that? That is great structuring. I don't know if she truly did it like that, but God bless. That is absolutely great. And this is why I always came back, because there was always a sense of structure. There was always a sense of pride in wherever she actually laid out the actual chapters. Like the 2 books that I was in prior with her. They Are Magic, I'm the last chapter. But before me, there were 2 girls that I actually were the closest to in that entire cast. right before me. I said, oh, okay, that's cool beans. That's absolutely cool. And then I returned for Letters of Magic. I'm like second to last, but then I read the final chapter. I said, oh, Black Hens, you got me in the purr hunt. Me and Brooke Coleman. How not you can love Blair Hayes after that? Me and the purr hunt or Brooke Coleman, we were the only non-Caucasians in that book. And to finish off, not only as non-Caucasians, but all African American. I'm still stunned. I'm still stunned. And I have said it to Blair on these Zoom calls by way of positioning. Like, Blair, God bless you. God bless you. This is great. But again, it was right that we finished off the Magic series, which turns 2 years old on March 31st this coming year, with Blair herself. I don't think I could see any other better ending. Yeah, sure, Mayoko could have finished. I could have finished. One of the Martesian girls possibly could have, but it feels right. Like if somebody that has read the entire Magic series, or a good majority of them, you would say maybe Blair should be finishing. She should finish because she made this entire run. And without her, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
So it's only right, it's only fair that she finished, especially after the River Rose, her daughter, was born. That even feels more right. And I'm not saying this to kiss Blair's rear. No, if you really followed Blair in the last year, especially after the River Rose was born, you would say, yes, she deserves that slot. Completely. Completely. Because by rights, the River Rose, some people would say that kid should be dead after everything that's happened. But the River Rose is Blair in a baby form. And she's a fighter just like her mother. So that story, I do not dispute it at all. None. I stand by it completely. And if I ever get interviewed by somebody that asks me about my authorships and my ties to Blair Hayes, I will say that confidently, that she deserved that snot. Not me, not Mayoko, not anybody else. Blair herself deserved that last chapter. And that's full circle for the entire Magic series. And I will repeat that again. Blair deserved to be the end. That's it. Now, where will we go with the forthcoming Elite publishing? I don't know where Blair is going to position herself. Yeah, sure, I'm in her ear. I got some knowledge to some degrees on another, but positioning wise, she never tells me where people are going to go. I love that. And I don't go prior. I'm a fan of the actual books. I actually buy them, like maybe a few days before actual launch, if they are available. Spoiler, and then I read them. I read them as if I'm not an actual author myself. If I'm a part of the books, I will read them and I say, okay, this is the story of Marilyn. All right, she goes from her adulthood all the way through until she loses her husband, and then she comes back and she gets that black belt, and she's still doing what she's doing. All right, I got that story. Danielle Black, she comes from a certain point, and then she gets to her faith. Okay, Karen Kuros, losing child after child, and then getting to where she is now. Okay, and then it just builds until the last chapter, and then I go, oh, okay, that fits. That fits. And it fit with me ending There Are Magic because what do I say, Blarkins? The last shall be first, the first shall be last. To quote the Almighty Bible. And Bruce Springsteen from the Ghost of Tom joke. If I'm correct, please correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm not right, please correct me if I'm wrong. Bruce Springsteen fans, I believe that's the correct saying. The last shall be first, the first shall be last. To hear that line every single time come from my mouth and know that blood possession me that way, I almost get on my knees sometimes and I cry. Because I was the first male in that general series. Not David Vine, not Charles Scanlon, not Anthony Shapiro. Me. I was the first. And to see myself in Magical Miracles as the last in the Magic Circle, I'm humble and grateful. Because I stayed consistent, like you with that black belt. People, I can hear them in my head. It doesn't feel right if you weren't there, meaning me. Because I was in every single unisex book, every single one. And it's not because I didn't have other places to go. No. It was right. It was my home. I built my legacy, my writing legacy, published-wise, with blood. And without me, not to my own horn, but without me, it doesn't feel right that the Magic series ends to some degree or another, because I was something like Jen Kirsch. I'm not saying I'm completely her clone, but on the male front, yes, I am. And I think Blarkins is proud that I am. That's why I stay wherever I am. And I don't know what else to say at times. But the fact that I stayed consistent with this, I got to see the likes of you, the Martesian girls, Danielle, who's, I gotta believe, like 4 or 5 times best-selling author. Take away our book. Karen, I'm still in awe. I got to write with her. Like, Karen was in the series way before I was even a thought. And to see that she actually was in the book before we even really started to get writing, I said, this is absolutely cool. I wish there was only one component that stayed in Magical Miracles, and that's Lisa Lewis. But everything happens for a reason, right? So I'm happy and grateful for what I got. And again, I will never shut up about this. And I will not shut up about this later on tonight when this happens. Mayoko Fukino Mayhill, my Yuri-chan from Japan. She is the second to last chapter in that magical series ended. And that, in my mind, helps me and her with our coaching day. Because we both, in our respective rights, have roped for blood like about 3 times. And between us, we actually have co-main evented, if you want to use that term, Blair's books. Me in Letters of Magic, her in this one. And that's something that I still say time and again. It was right. It was right. I remember the day that I actually found out. I actually was at work. I had a little bit of downtime, and I was up to Paladvi's chapter, which is the 7th. Or, excuse me, the 8th. The 8th. Let me correct myself. All right. So I said, you know what? I'm going to skip Paladvi for a few minutes, and let's just find out who is the second to last chapter. And then I said, who is it? Blair or Mayoko? Blair or Mayoko? I don't care who. Either which way, we're ending off. And then I found out Mayoko. I said, All right. And I contacted Mayoko that same day. I said, Mayoko, buy the book. Buy the book. You're going to be in awe where you are. She said, oh, really? I said, yes. You're going to be in awe of where you are. I'm in awe right now. You don't know what this does for Fit and Love's Roar, where you are. I'm happy and grateful where I am. And then we had the Zoom call. I wish Mayoko was there to have seen it, but you were there. You got to experience my high pitched energy right then. And I said it then, and I'll still say it now, and I will never shut up, ever. Thank you, Blurkins. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You know, I wanted to say something about you, if
What
I
about
may.
me?
Well, you made something, especially for me, new to the whole game of publishing. I can't speak for everybody else, but I'm sure that this is the case too. You made us have a little fun, just with the names that you called everybody. That's funny.
People love that.
The Blairkins and what was I, Blonde Sensei?
Oh, Blonde Sensei. Yeah, my Blonde Sensei.
Made a little laughter. It made, it made us feel comfortable. And then I had all stupid questions that you answered.
They were not stupid, my gorgeous hun. Let me tell you right now, in front of the world,
Inexperienced person would ask.
No.
So
They were
always
smart. They were smart questions. I probably would have actually asked that in my own first run.
Yeah.
I didn't ask it because I was just living. But I actually did live it. And I thought, okay, I could chime in since I'm a veteran, quote unquote.
Right.
But those were not dumb questions. They were very, very smart. And if I could speak for Blair, and I'm sure she's possibly watching and listening to this, that was not dumb at all. She was that smart.
But, it just made a little fun out of it too. And whether it was on Facebook in our group, or it was, private message, if there was something that needed clarification or whatever, I needed a quick answer. And I want to thank you for that, because it made it not only fun, but it was informative and gave me confidence that I could do it, And the world of publishing is really new to me, but I saw now what goes on behind the scenes, and the job of the publisher and editor is unbelievable. I have experience with editor because I had to do a dissertation. So I've worked, but this was a little bit easier because of the Microsoft, the Word and the way it's set up. But I know when I first saw it and I saw the red lines, I almost fainted. I said, oh, I didn't realize not having worked with that for so many years, because I did a dissertation so many years ago. I had to do everything, retype it, and this was wonderful to be able to accept and decline and all. But there's so much that goes on, and the pressure of the deadlines. I don't know how they do it.
Oh man, this is my third go, as I keep on repeating. But the first time I ever saw it, I said, okay, I'm gonna do my absolute best. And Amanda Goddard, or better known as, excuse me, Amanda Please, as I call her. She was there to hold my hand for 2 edits, a Black Lion drawer there. Jennifer Kirsch, the very missed and valued Jen Kirsch. She was the editor for the actual second draft of the original BLK. And both of them told me how good it was. They had questions, I answered them.
Right.
And to know that I was being taken care of, that was the world to me. And I said that to Blair. I said, Blair, I don't know how you got Amanda and Jennifer, but thank you very much. They were absolutely great. And I wish that before March, I say it openly, I wish I got Jen Kirsch right away, because when she died, I was at work at the time. I found out via Blair, making a big post. I already came up with a certain phrase, and Mayoko may actually chime in with this. She may know what I'm getting to. So I have this word, or we have this word called a flowtastic.
You make up your words, I know.
Yeah, I started using that. I thought for a business I was running that would see my books or chapters united with this podcast to make me money. I found out about Jennifer. I cried. And Blair can testify to this. I did a podcast of this show. I didn't monetize it at all. I tried my best to hold myself together. And without Jennifer, it's not right. The books are not right. It's proper that we said goodbye because Jen Kirsch was our hype woman. She was the person that made the series what it was. That's not named Blair. It's the truth because she survived having cancer. She was a Reiki master. She was a principal like you and so many other things. And she was our conscience. And without a conscience, how can you continue on? I've seen other people, not in our series, in my own life, they lost their conscience when certain things or people were out of their life. And that led to very, very despairing times. But I go back to They Are Magic, like me being a novice. Like Blair herself even held my hand at times. And she came out with one post that never will ever leave me. That here was this multi-time author, best-selling author, and she was scared out of her mind. She was scared about how the book would do. But yet, when I actually heard that, I felt a major weight taken off my shoulders. I even did an episode of this show, and I shared it with our group, where I was only like weeks away from They Are Magic being released. And I made it known, I'm scared. I'm petrified. And Mayoko probably can chime in and say this. Oh, but you're natural at this. You're a writer. I never had my stories published that were in a book. I always had it published via Facebook, my stuff. But for the world to read in mass consumption with a multi-times best-selling author and others that have reached that pinnacle before, who wouldn't have been petrified? I know you were definitely from our talks. You were definitely petrified. So I had to listen to my own self say, guess what, kids? Dominic Toretto in the Fast and the Furious saga got in his Dodge Charger. And every single movie after that, he was in that car. And me, this entire run with the Magic series, that's my Dodge Charger. I got in that car, no matter how scared I was. Everything. And as far as me coming up with names for people, I always do it.
I love that.
Always do it. It was easy. It was just easy. You're blonde. You're a sensei. There you go. Blurkins. I think I just came up with it out of the blue. I said I used to call my ex Kins, Arlkins, and then I just started using it because I wanted to be more cute and more innocent. And
you know what it is? It's really terms of affection.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I always said. I call people like Blurkins because that's a term of affection. It's not to actually be overriding or whatever.
Oh, no, it comes across as affectionate. It's nice. Yep. It's different.
Yep. What did I call everybody? Okay, I call Blurkins. Everybody knows that. I call you Blonde Sensei. I called Karen Carol's Care Bear. I called let me see, Daniel. I think I said okay. Danielle, Danny Love, Mayoko, of course, Maya-chan. She always tells me, Call me Mayu-chan. I say, okay, okay. That's Mayu love in Japanese.
Magnolia is Max.
Yeah, Magnolia is Max. She even made that known in her chapter. I said, okay.
Yeah, I kept track of all those.
Let me see. Lovena is Lovekins. I think Pala is Pala Love. And
You got it all.
yeah, I just wanted you all to feel welcomed in if you were not actually part of the series before. And
Well, it made it felt us feel like part of a group. It was so nice to be in. It's so nice to be in the group of authors too.
oh yes, it is.
Our own group, and you know, it's a private group, and we're sharing our own feelings on things and how we're doing now post publishing the book.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that's one of the things that I found, the comments that people have been writing to me or even giving me a call, is how each one of the chapters became almost like precious to them. They would read like one a night or two nights. And then they would pick up the next chapter, and they felt it was a way to treasure the book or cherish it and make it more meaningful. There was so many wonderful comments, and people related to the stories and said, you know, that happened to me. And, you know, I can see now the way I handled it and this person handled it. I feel better about myself now. So it makes it all worthwhile.
Got that right.
Nice to be part of that, isn't it?
Oh, I keep on saying this proudly, and I will never shut up. To be a writer generally is a fantastic journey. I will never shut up.
Yeah.
It got me through so much in my life. To think that I'm a 7 times best-selling author pending, regardless if I was still igniting a passion or not, which I'm not anymore. The fact that they're here in my hand, and it all started with something like this, a pen.
Right.
So I didn't really have the gumption to become a published author when I was type 2 diabetic years ago. All I wanted was just to reverse my condition and be a better person. That's all I wanted. And then I got what I wanted, and then here we are years later. And you're a best-selling author.
Yeah.
Girls from one of the craziest countries in the world, Maltese, they're 2 times best-selling author. Danielle Black, I believe she's a 4 times best-selling.
Wow. Yeah.
Larkins, I will never shut up. 10 times. 10 times. Like, how can you not love that? How can you not? Yeah, sure, I got friends that are not in our industry. That doesn't mean I don't love them just about the same. I'm still trying to get some of their heinies on this show again, because certain things are happening and I want their opinions on things. But it's right. It's absolutely right. And especially for you, with the loss of your husband, surviving all the conditions that you've been through. Why should you not be a best-selling author?
Well, you know, it's not, you have to try and think of it as not being about me. So people would ask, well, did you join support groups? How did you get through all of this? And I said, no, I didn't really join support groups. I was very lucky. I have my family. A lot of people don't have their family. I have my husband, I have my family now. I have wonderful children, 2 wonderful grandchildren. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we're very, very close. That is a major thing. I also have my faith in God. And the other thing I think that is important is not to look back. So I found with support groups, this is just my personal opinion, people share what happened to them and this was awful and whatever. I don't dwell on that. I don't even think about it. I don't think that I'm taking a chemo drug now. I just take it in the morning, I swallow it, and then it's gone. I don't think about it anymore.
All
not-
right.
I'm not going to let it hold me back. It's choices that you make. And as you get older, you're going to make choices. Now, what I do is not easy. The training that I do, trying to do those 5Ks and all that I'm saying, my feet hurt. I have trouble. I have trouble with my feet. I have varicose veins. So what am I going to do? I'm going to say, well, I can't walk anymore. I need a walker because I can't walk on my feet. Instead, I'm doing 5Ks.
Well,
But the thing is, you can't look back. You have to look ahead, and you can't think of infirmities. You can't think of pain. You have to work through it. And also, I don't look back, and I don't think about it. I don't think about what I went through. I'm thinking about what I'm doing now, and hopefully help others to see the same thing. You're not going to get through to a lot of people. So now with the writing, it's a different avenue. I'm sure people will ask me, you think I could do something like that? And I'll say, sure.
yes, you can.
I mean, people have different aspirations. Do it. Try it. And it doesn't mean that you're going to be successful right away. It takes time. I'll have people come into class, for instance, and say, I can't do Tai Chi. I'm not coordinated. Well, I say to them, one of the reasons to take Tai Chi is to get more coordinated.
Yeah.
And to also have balance so you don't fall down. But that doesn't mean that you go into one class a week or two classes a week, and all of a sudden you'll be a person that won't fall down. That doesn't work that way. You have to practice, and you have to do the things that I'm suggesting. So it's the same thing. I say to them, did you ever try to play golf or tennis? Oh, yes. I said, well, what happened the first time you went on the golf course? I couldn't hit the ball for anything. I play a little golf too. So I said to them, well, what did you do? Well, I took lessons. What did you do after you took the lesson? Well, the teacher said I had to practice. It's all about practice. It's the same thing with writing, is practice too. You know that with the editing, you have to do things over and over and over. Take the sentences out, put them in, put more words, take them out. That takes the most time. In a way, for what we did, we were writing about ourselves. So there's so much to say. And then when I looked at it, I said, oh my God, I have to take this paragraph out. I have to take this, but this is important. I wanted to say this. And I had to make choices. I'm sure you felt the same way. You have to make, but it's like a mirror of life. You have to make choices. If you want something, for instance, when I said I always wanted a horse. I'm a city girl. I'm from Queens, okay, from Astoria. So what does a Astoria girl know about horses? Well, I dreamed of that as a kid. So when I got older, I did it. I took lessons with my children, and then we went out and bought a horse. And then I became like a farmer. I had to board the horse and couldn't really afford all that. So I did all the work myself, and it was a lot to do, but I had to make a choice that I want to have a horse. Then I had to do all this other work to do it. That's really what it's about. And with the writing, it's the same thing. I'm very busy. I said, I don't know if I can how am I going to fit this in to what I do now? Because if I call the family, I'm going to write a book, chapter. They'd say, what are you up to now? Well, they used to me. Do you have time to do that? I said, well, I have to make time. There's deadlines. And I came in late into the process. So, a lot of you guys were in writing earlier. And so I said, well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And that's just what the name of the game is. If you want something, you can do it. Because you're the master of your own destiny. That's what it's down to, right?
That's the truth. And it still awes me that our book, even though it was released on December 7th, it did go bestseller. And it's not because of technical difficulties or whatever.
Oh, well, what happened when Amazon crashed that day? Who
Oh,
would believe?
But we went bestseller, I believe, eventually because we never stopped.
No.
We never stopped. December 7th, that day, things crashed with Amazon. But we
just kept going like it didn't happen. And it didn't matter one bit. It was going to work, and that's it. It was determined, the whole group. It was determination from the whole group not to give up.
And
not to give up. We weren't going to let Amazon, but Amazon got back at me now. So we'll see. I called them. This is day 6. That's what I did this morning. Day 6. What's happening? What are you doing for me? Oh, what can I tell you?
you're doing
I'll be relentless with Amazon until I get
and
the right.
rightfully so. Rightfully so. If you could get your black belt and you can get this bestseller, you'll get your stuff. All right.
There's just one other thing I wanted to say. You know, there's a psychology part of things too. One of the things that I try to tell my students is self-confidence is the most important ingredient in life and what you're going to do, your own self-esteem and self-confidence. They said, well, what do you know about that? Well, I said, you know, my sister and I went to the Shaolin Temple in China. We were invited by the Grand Master, and we performed the Kung Fu form called the crane for the Grand Abbot. Now, the Grand Abbot is like the Pope of Buddhism. We went to the temple where he is. We were the first women to perform in the temple, historic. So luckily, we were on first. So we did our crane, you know, like the Karate Kid stands on one foot. The whole form we did, and we got through it. When I look back and I said, how did we do that? I mean, we had all the monks there. They're the biggest experts in the world. The Grand Masters were there. We had people looking in through the side doors at us. We were on the stone floor that was worn for hundreds and hundreds of years with feet, the actual stone. And so we did the form, and the Grand Abbot told us that we would be welcome there. If we ever lost our homes, we could live there. And then the monks performed, and we said, thank God we went on first, because when we saw what they did, and there were little kids all the way up, they were fantastic. And we said, after we had seen them, if we were to go on, we would have said, oh no, we can't go out on the floor. But it's so now the moral for me is, if I have to face something like writing the chapter in the book, I say to myself, if I went out on the floor in front of the Grand Abbot and performed, I can write a chapter in the book.
Yes, you can.
You know, it's like a benchmark. That's what I'm trying to say. There are benchmarks. So you have your benchmark, and you went beyond it by doing more than one book.
Mm-hmm.
So then where does it go from there? You know?
Oh, I can answer that question. All it took was one. That's what I wanted this year.
Yeah.
But then a certain Polish love and Blarkins came into my life stronger, respectively, and I wanted to pursue them, respectively.
Right.
And I'm closer to the Polish love more than the Blarkins, because the Blarkins feels like she's light years away.
Right.
But the Polish love, I'm up to. When that book, Be Mine, comes out, I will have 6. If it's truly out before Rebel Romance.
Yeah.
I'll be up to the Polish. And then when Rebel Romance finally drops, I'll be on the same wavelength as her again. But here's the thing. I believe maybe I have exceeded her some degree or another. But if not because of a certain Australian, then I'm okay because I actually have achieved equality with maybe somebody I've held very highly in my heart, named Polish love, my unforgettable. And I'm like 3 away from what Blair has currently.
Yeah.
Well,
And you
yes,
had the problem and you didn't let it defeat you.
no
Yeah.
way.
So
And
that's
speaking
what,
of, and then speaking of non-defeats, kids, we're getting ready to wrap this bad boy up because I'm sure Marilyn would like to spend her day doing something else that's not a dog sitting, babysitting for the dog.
this is like relaxation time for me.
Oh yeah.
Got to work on my music for next week now.
There you go. See, kids, I actually was right. She has something to do that's not just staying right here with me, even though I love her company. It's time to wrap this bad boy up. All right. So because of Zoom and everything, I actually had to rearrange my ending. So, my dear Marilyn, my blonde sensei love, your hopes for the future, my dear, or shall I correctly say it, desires of the future are. Your desires of the future, my dear, are.
For me,
Yes, you.
I would like to reach out to more people, different ages. I would like even children. I would like children to start with Tai Chi because older people come in and they say, oh, we want to improve our balance. Well, the way you improve your balance is you have to start out as a kid and do the training. Okay. That's why at the Shaolin Temple, the monks who are masters in martial arts, they start when they're 3 years old. And that's why they can do a lot of things that I can't do, that most people can't do. So I would like to get a varied student body. I'd like to reach out. I'm on Zoom, so I can go, people, I have people in New Jersey, I have people upstate, I have nuns in Pennsylvania. I have people all over, but I can reach out even further than the local areas. And I'd like to do that. And I'd like to help a lot of people, especially get a healthy lifestyle, but not only that, increase their self-esteem and self-confidence. I also put a lot of self-defense in my classes. I show the applications of what parting the horse's mane means. This is a block. You see people do this. Push hands, you can knock somebody right off their feet. I love all that stuff.
Me too.
So I teach them the applications. And in today's world, I tell them, if you need help and you're in danger, you're it. You're it. You have to be able to defend yourself.
Right on.
What you have to also know is that you have to have the self-confidence and appear that way so that you will not become a victim. As you get older, and this is mostly for older women, targets, children are targets, people who are infirm, male or female, targets. So that's what it's all about. I do all of that in the Tai Chi class. It's a martial arts class for everyone.
Oh, I love that.
Okay.
Mayoko, if you're listening to this, honey, I believe.
Well, she knows this because she has training. She has
I was just about to say, Mayoko, I believe we actually have a guest speaker for tour.
Okay.
I think you may be going crazy right now, but we got.
And then I do the meditation. That's another mindfulness, but it's a healing, self-healing. It's not like regular meditation that people are familiar with. It's Qigong meditation right from the Shaolin monks.
Oh, that's great stuff for the future. I love it. All right. So what can I, Zachary Shiloh Watts, what can I do for you going forward, my beloved?
For me,
Yes, you.
Just be who you are, be available, be funny,
Okay.
be a support, and, be right along with you, supporting you with your upcoming books. And one day I'll jump back into it when things settle down here. I'll go back and write also. I'm sure I
Oh,
will.
that's what I was gonna ask you earlier, but thank goodness you actually did chime in with it.
Right now, I don't have the time to do it, but I will. And I'll make time. And, I know you'll be there for support, which is great.
Oh, yes, I will. When you go back to the writing world, I will be there with the arms wide open.
I know that, yeah.
Okay, and here we are. If not now, within the next week to a month, can I have three people you think would actually go good to be interviewed by me in this setting?
Any three?
Any three. It
Well,
doesn't matter what the age.
Well, I think that you're going to have a lineup of our co-authors. Those are the best people.
Okay.
And I think that Blair, of course, must have been interviewed already, right?
Twice.
And Amanda, did as an editor, is a whole different perspective.
I've been trying to get Amanda Goddard or Amanda Please to return for me.
I'll tell you, I would not like to be Amanda. I would not. I would go crazy with it. And the deadline.
I'm gonna send you her link. I'm gonna send you the link to her actual episode, which is regarded as one of the highest grossing episodes of this entire podcast I've done.
Oh.
That episode was absolutely amazing. And to hear Amanda Goddard's story, you would be like, what? She's actually editing our stuff and she's going through X, Y, Z to get back to ADC. You would
I didn't realize that you had Nielsen ratings and everything. This is fantastic.
I didn't know either. I'm just in awe that I'm actually looking at like stats once in a while. And Blair and Amanda, I think, are like my two highest grossing females. That's not my first fiance named Mel Mel. And every single time I listen to those episodes, I just get giddy. Get giddy as the 7-year-old to be I am. Oh man. All right. So with that said, I already did.
Another idea would be to have a panel of a few of us together, and make it so that instead of it's one, after you've done all of the co-authors or whatever, you might get a group of them together to share their experiences post-publishing the book. For instance, if I'm going to speak at the library, I can talk about what happened there and what the reaction I got from the people about the book and so forth. That would be nice too.
Oh, I've been trying to do these things on and off too. So, okay, let's see. People that I could do in like groups before I truly hit the outro. I've always wanted you, the Care Bear, and Tina in your own special like panel. Let me see. The Martesian girls, if they can be available, I want them on because that's kind of like a 2 times reunion for us. The first was Letters of Love, and then this book. Blair and Mayoko. I'd love to get those two together at the same time. Spoiler for Mayoko's show, and I'm sure that they don't mind me blowing this up. One Blair Hayes is scheduled to be on a certain Majestic Moments. Mayoko, get back on the pony, you crazy hunt. Get back on the pony. You already did one episode, but get back on Majestic Moments. Love. All right. And I say that.
If you would like me, and I offered this, but everybody was busy on our group. If you would like me to do a Tai Chi demo and teach somebody or teach everyone in the group some breathing exercises and some self-healing Qigong exercises, that's another thing I can do for you, or a brief Tai Chi form part of the form. That'd be something that just would be our private group. I'd be glad to do it, or even the meditation. Okay, so I'll offer you that too for one of your shows.
I'm getting
Well,
tingly.
it could go, whatever you want to do with it, but for the members of our group would be nice.
Oh, I'm sure that they all want to do it, but it's depending on our scheduling,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
with
That's hard.
Larry.
Everybody's schedule is different, though. You
But
have
I'm
different
up for it.
zones too. You have different time zones, so that's what makes.
That's
Okay,
true.
so it's just thought, the food for thought.
Oh, that's a great idea. I'm sure Mayoko wants you on her show whenever she wants to do her show again. Mayoko, we're doing Fear the Love's Raw tonight. There's no disputes, there's no negotiations. We got to get that thing up and roaring. So this is not your podcast where you can Fear the Love's Roar. We already let that. We need to get it up and running. And with that said, I'm going to roar and get her out of here. With that said, one goal, one aim, one road, one focus, and that's loves, your beautiful Hunskins and loves out there. Even if it sounds like I'm venting, I am what they call passionate. I'm passionate about her. I'm passionate about people that I work with. I'm passionate about all of you out there, the kids out there. And the next time I do Black Lions Domain, I believe I have one more piece to the Ascension original cast. I've been looking to interview the Ascension cast by Janet Brent for months on it. And because of different things going on, I was only able to secure the majority of them. The final piece is ready next week. I'm sure she'll be on. And if not, I'll keep you updated. But look out next week for Universal Grounding and Black Lions Domain with Whisper Romeo as we talk about her chapter in that book and what she's been up to before and after. With that said, this live stream is over and I will be putting out the content soon. Thank you. Namaste.